Well, here we are again. Are we all quiet and ready? Is Claudia ready? And Aubrey? Good. Jerusalem? There's Jerusalem, shouted Laman, pointing his dusty finger. Laman and Lemuel continued to shout for joy, slapping each other on the back and even shaking Sam's and Nephi's hands. Finally they turned each other about so fast that they fell in the sand. Nephi and Sam looked at each other with amazement. What a wonderful change had come over their elder brothers. On the long journey across the desert, they had remained sullen and quarrelsome. At times they had even been cruel to Nephi and Sam, taking the best of the food and making them carry a lot of the things. Suddenly Nephi grew worried. Could it be that they had forgotten why they had come back to Jerusalem? They had come back because they were told to. Let them rejoice while they can. After a while, when their excitement had passed away, Lemuel said, I know where we are now. I have been here before. See that hill to the left of us? Up among the rocks there is a little spring of clear blue water. We could go there and wash ourselves and rest until dark. It will be safer for us to enter Jerusalem at night. Nephi was greatly relieved by Lemuel's words because he knew that at last he remembered why they had come back to Jerusalem. The brother was all agreed and that it would be a good idea to wait until night, so they started at once to climb the hill. When they reached the top, Lemuel had a little difficulty locating the spring. It was a wonderful place to rest because they could not be seen by passers-by. After they washed, ate and rested, they all felt much better. I have a suggestion to make, said Sam. I think it better for us, just one of us, to go to the house of Laman. I believe he is more apt to open his door to one stranger than four. I agree with Sam, said Laman, good-naturedly. There's another reason too why just one of us should go. If Laban should become angry and capture us or destroy us, it would be better that just one be captured or destroyed rather than everybody. Nephi was so surprised at being asked a question that he hesitated for a few seconds. Never once during the journey had they bothered to ask him anything. They had acted as if he wasn't there, and now they were asking him questions. Looking up, he saw Laman waiting for an answer, so he said, I think it's a good idea, and I will go to the house of Laman if you would like me to. You're all right, Nephi, said Laman, with real affection in his voice. But we will do as father would do it in matters of this kind. We'll draw lots. The brothers agreed, and the lots fell upon Laman. Just as twilight was deepening into the night, he set out on his dangerous mission. As he made his way through the darkness, he began to wonder how he would be able to get past the guards. But he was in luck, for when he reached them, he found a wine merchant and several donkeys loaded with great jugs of wine. Laman put his arm across the neck of one of the donkeys and entered unnoticed. When he reached the city streets, he was dismayed because a full moon had risen, and it was a silvery light. It was almost as light as day. He turned into a narrow, crooked street which was empty, but for an old, white-headed man. He stopped and inquired the way to Laban's house. When he reached the house, a servant took him into Laban, who was eating meat and drinking wine. He invited Laman to sit down and wait while he had finished his meal. "Well, young man, what do you want of me?" asked Laban. Laban took a deep breath and came right to the point. "My father has told me that you have plates of brass upon which are engraved the records of the Jews." "Yes, I have." "Do you want to see them?" "No," answered Laban honestly, "but I would like to take them to my father who dwells in the wilderness." For a moment Laban was speechless and he was angry. The hot blood rushed to his face, dyeing it a deep purple. He drew his lips back, showing yellow teeth, and looked like the fangs of an animal. "You want me to take my plates and give them to you so you can take them into the wilderness? Why, you are a robber, and I will slay you." He turned and rushed towards his sword, and as he did so, Laban fled from the house and back to his brothers. "Since we have done all we can do, we might as well return to our father and mother in the wilderness," said Laban. "As God lives and as we live, we will not go back to our father until we have accomplished what the Lord had commanded us." Nephi's voice was so inspired that his brothers listened to him silently. "Let us keep the Lord's commandments and try again to get the plates. We all know that in Jerusalem our father left gold and silver and all manner of riches. Let us go back and gather them together and take them to Laban and see if he will exchange them for the brass plates." Nephi spoke so earnestly and with such inspiration that his brothers listened to what he had to say. And when he had finished, they decided to go up to their father's house in Jerusalem. The boys were overjoyed at being back in their father's house. They went about touching everything and playing with things. "Nobody has been here since we left," exclaimed Lemuel. "How do you know that?" said Laban. "By the layer of dust that lies everywhere. If anyone had been in here, they would have left marks in the dust." "At least there hasn't been anyone here since the dust fell," remarked Sam. "Let's open the secret door, and if the treasures are safe, and let's see what they are." "I will open it," said Laban. He went to a finely carved panel in the wall, and for several minutes he ran his hand over the carving. Nothing happened when Lemuel tried, but he too failed to find the secret opening. At last Sam said, "Let me try." As he ran his hand over the panel, suddenly a part of the wall began to move back, showing a steep stairway leading downstairs into darkness. The treasure room was a small room whose walls were almost completely covered with precious things of all kinds. "It must have taken courage to go away and leave all this behind," said Lemuel. "It took something greater than courage," said Nephi. "It took a great faith in God." When they had gathered all the precious things, they set out for Laban's house. He met them at the door, and when he saw Laban, he shouted loudly, "So you're back again?" No sooner has he spoken when he saw the precious things they carried. "Yes, I am back again, and these are my brothers," said Laban. With a sly look in his beady eyes, he invited them to come into the house. "Please come in and let me serve you." Laban hesitated for a moment, wondering if he should warn his brothers that Laban was full of tricks. Perhaps he had set a trap. Then he remembered that they must have the plates at any cost, so he turned and followed Laban into the house. Laban took them to the same room he had been in earlier. "My brothers have brought great riches, and we would like to exchange them for the brass plates. Some of them, why not all? Because the gold and silver and precious things we have here are worth far more than the plates." "But not to you," teased Laban. "Are we to understand that you are not interested in trading?" asked Laban. "First I must see your treasure." "Spread it out on the floor," he said. When everything was spread up on the floor, Laban licked his lips greedily. He was surprised to see the extent of all the riches. Suddenly he clapped his hands, and a servant appeared from everywhere. Then he ordered them to fall upon the brothers and grab them, and the brothers ran from the house back to their hiding place in the rocks. The gold and silver and precious things fell into the hands of Laban, and they left them behind.